counter.
Good knowledge,
It feels very
Hello and happy new year and welcome to the Unwanted Opinion podcast, the show in which me and my friends give our unwanted opinion on all things film. My name is Lewis and I'm joined today with my good friend Kyle.
Hello.
Hello, and Gonzalo.
Hey, Happy New Year.
First
It's
hey of the new
It's the
year.
first hey of the new year.
2023.
Where's the
Yeah.
compilation, Kyle? I thought you'd have that made for the
Nah,
Patreon
yeah,
listeners.
Do you know how
Compilation of
much
the-
actual effort that takes? I discovered,
Yeah, that-
and I have actually none of. Honestly, see when you look back at the early, it's all a mess. It's all a mess.
Yeah, it's
the early
audio
days.
wise, it's
Oh,
I
yes.
was actually
It's
listening
still a
back
mess,
to
but
refresh my
goddamn.
memory on something, and I was like, oh god, that's a bad mic I had.
You didn't
really bad
listen
mic.
to the Oscar one, which was just horrific.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
not went back and listened to that.
Maybe
also,
we'll do
guys,
a
like-
feature in the ring. We'll remaster some. We'll just
Yeah, 'cause, like, if you-
create a set, we'll just
Popular
re-record.
demand for master.
Because, like, if you think about it, I think a couple of the first episodes we actually recorded it in a way where I was recording the feed that was coming in through
Yeah.
Discord, so, it was even double horrific.
Ah,
Those
yes,
were
it was-
bad. Those were bad.
It was horrific.
Yes.
But anyway, this is on today's episode, the first episode of the new year. We're of course going to be taking a look back of the year of 2022, and we're going to be talking about some of our favourite films that came out in that year. Obviously, we've all got a couple picks each, plus honourable mentions, and we'll get through them, and we'll tell you about our favourites and why they are our favourites of 2022. So
Heck yeah.
let's just jump right in. Actually, before I really just get into the main topic here, I want to ask, as a whole. I'll come to you, Gonzalo, first. What did you think of 2022 as a whole in terms of films and releases and things?
That's interesting. Honestly, it's not a year I was hyped for. It's not one of those years where there's
a lot of
of
stuff
Yeah.
has been, shifted to 2023. Really.
yeah. So
in
it's
terms of-
not been like one of those years where I've been waiting for this big release and it
Mhm.
finally came out. It has been a year of surprises for me. Thanks to this show, I've had to endure a lot of really bad films, but I've also had the pleasure of being forced to watch a lot of films I maybe would have not gone to see without you guys. And I'm starting to develop a liking for certain genres that I was maybe not as comfortable with. So it's been a
Yeah.
year of discovery for me. It's been a year where I've
So
discovered
deep.
a lot of gems. Did that sound a bit too freaking corny?
Honestly, no.
yeah.
What about you? What about you, Kyle?
Sorry, I can't go over how beautiful that was from Goodfellas there. It was okay. I mean,
It was okay?
No, I have to say that this year for me really has kind of lowered my love for superhero films. As a whole, there
Fair.
has been the occasional one like the Batman.
There has been the one gem.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Yeah.
TV
Yeah.
show wise, Peacemaker was also quite fun, but
Yeah,
like,
that was fun.
as a whole, really the films were very, very poor.
Yeah.
No offense, Dwayne Johnson. I know you're doing well. But yeah, that was really kind of like a bummer. I mean, the action adventure kind of category or genre as a whole with Uncharted, Jurassic World, Dominion, obviously, not putting Top Gun in that
Jurassic World.
category, sorry, just, that's leagues of its own.
No, but yeah.
But that
Yeah.
whole kind of genre for me is kind of
Mhm.
being pushed back. I've seen a lot of very bad thrillers this year. I've seen some really good thrillers,
Oh.
but I've seen so Windfall. Remember
Oh,
that
you talked about
Netflix
that.
film?
Yeah, I remember that Netflix
Um,
one. Yep.
Deep Water with the greatest car chase sequence ever.
That was a weird film.
That was a weird film. Well, it is also how Gunfall was saying his appreciation for some films. 2022 has really increased my appreciation for so bad they're good films with Ambulance and Moonfall. I could honestly be my two
Oh,
picks
God.
for the best films of 2022 because they're so bad but they're so good.
Yeah.
But
They
yeah,
were, they
but
were.
my
I mean,
main thing
I
is definitely the
I would
superheroes,
defend
yeah.
Ambulance till the day I die. But...
Well, no, I was I was trying to describe Ambulance to my cousin, and
Yeah.
was it my cousin? I can't remember who I was describing it to. Oh no, I think it was David.
Mhm.
And then I went, yeah. So Michael Bay got a drone for his birthday, and he was like, "Oh, I want to go out and make a film to show my parents," and then he took it a bit too
Yeah.
far and made this
Yeah.
film. But yeah, my
Um,
main thing was definitely like the superhero films are really kind of slowly going downhill, quicker.
Big
maybe,
decline.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
maybe not that slow.
Well, I think for me, 2022 as a whole was. I mean, I saw a bunch, and as a whole, I thought it was pretty solid. I mean, there was a lot of mediocre. I mean, every year has its mediocre blockbusters and all sorts and things like that. But literally, I mean, obviously on UnwantedOpinion.net, I did my whole top 22 films of 2022. And that honestly could have extended to 30 plus because I saw, honestly, so many great films and some that I never even got to mention on that list. But yeah, I was by the end of the year, I was like, I was quite overwhelmed by the amount of choice. And when we're getting to these like top two, honestly, when I was narrowing down my top, my whole top 10 list, really, I was like, this is a tough list because honestly, each one of them in any other year could have been the best.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was
Honestly,
spoiled for choice.
It's been a year where, like, as Kyle has said, like, we've seen a decline in what I like to call like AAA films. Like, if we're talking video games, like the big budget films, we've seen a big decline in quality overall, just as a whole. Because normally you do get a couple of like really good ones, or really fairly decent ones.
If you
but, like,
take out
we've seen
Top Gun,
really, really bad ones.
you would say that as a whole, I think Top Gun's the only like mega
big budget film that's
adventure
been good.
action film.
Avatar 2 has its strong defenders. I mean, I know you like
that
to kill.
doesn't mean it's good.
To be honest, I completely forgot about Avatar 2 as a like Top Gun. Is it
I
not
wasn't
going
here
to
for
take over Top Gun quite soon?
Oh god,
I think it's done it. I think it's honestly might have done it today or yesterday or
because
whatever,
right now it's still at 1.4 the last time I checked, as of like 30 minutes ago.
It's going to be a $2 billion.
Avatar 2 is the one exception of good CG that we've seen in big budget movies. And that's everything that it has going for it. That is the only thing that it has going for it. That it has amazing looking CG. And it just showcases the fact that, hey, maybe if you give CG artists enough time to do their work, they're good at it. But apart from
but when
that,
you give them like 13 years, doesn't everybody then forget about what you're doing? Man?
Yeah,
and I know it wasn't in production for 13 years.
No, I know, but yeah.
My point stands.
But
anyway,
hopefully maybe Marvel learns that not rushing their post-production helps in the quality of... I'm kidding, they're not going to learn anything. But yeah, whereas we've seen that big decline in like the quote-unquote AAA films, I feel like this year we've seen a big like boom of fantastic like mid-budget and indie films, and also not just a fantastic outcome, because you always do get amazing ones, but more audience appreciation for them, if that makes any sense. Like, I've seen more people talking about mid-budget and indie films this year than any other year. So for me, it feels like maybe there's starting to be like a bit of a shift.
Hopefully, I really want
mind,
the mid-budget, like, more adult films to come back, honestly. I mean, although I really wasn't a big fan of this film, Bullet Train, out of nowhere, did really well for like an R-rated like mid-budget film. Same with the likes of Elvis. Elvis did really well for its budget and stuff like that.
To be honest, I wasn't surprised Bullet Train did well because I could really see it just being like the average consumer's film.
But yeah, I remember we talked about this, or we talked about the end of the summer episode, that I think studios are going to make this mistake in 2023, and that they're going to just like put everything out next to each other, so no one has a chance to go see everything, and therefore a lot of films will actually underperform. Whereas a film like Bullet Train, if that released in such a congested summer that we're going to get this year, I don't think that film would have been successful.
Oh, not at all.
Because that came at a time when there really wasn't much on the summer and things like that. But anyway, let's get to you. Do you have any honourable mentions before you get to your first pick today?
Oh man, honestly, there's a couple of ones. We're not gonna. I don't think we're gonna mention it in the episode in the end. But if we are, I'll someone correct me. But Nope was fucking fantastic this year. That was a great movie. Really enjoyed it. It's one of those, again, I probably wouldn't have gone watch it on my own. I'm not a big horror guy, even though I liked his previous movies, the whole idea of going to a cinema and stuff, but it was a fantastic experience. I know this differs between us, like the opinion for this movie, but I really did like Don't Worry Darling. I thought that was a very decent mid budget movie. Yeah.
Kyle just rolling. That's the best eye roll I've seen in
I
ages.
like. Don't
Sorry.
worry, darling. Okay.
I forget
Also,
I'm on
it's
camera
hilarious.
sometimes.
It's hilarious because my sister watched it and she felt that the issue of the movie was literally the opposite of what Kyle mentioned as his biggest issue,
What,
and
the
I just think
script?
that that is fantastic.
Well, I don't know if me and Kyle had the same issue with it. I think I just didn't think it was really that disturbing or
I just didn't enjoy it.
effective.
Yeah, I just thought it
Yeah.
was dull.
Yeah.
Fair, that's fair. Very
But
fair.
yeah, even like what I mean to say is basically like the idea of like more like it feels like it's becoming more mainstream to have like these not Avengers level
Good
budget
films.
movies to just like have an actual audience and stuff. And yeah, there's been a couple, honestly. There's been a couple of really good ones. And the main thing for me this year is that there's been good movies that were also movies that I like, because it's not always the same. Like there are good movies I just don't like, not because they're bad movies, just because they don't jive with me. And this year I've gotten the opportunity to watch movies that were good and were basically made for me. So yeah,
Yes.
that's been really awesome.
Right. So, what's your first pick today?
I'm gonna start with the one I've watched the most recently, which is Glass Onion. So,
Glass Onion. Knives
yes.
Out,
Glass
brackets,
Onion.
Knives Out too.
yes.
Although Ryan Johnson doesn't like it, the Knives Out
Yeah.
thing bracket.
I
on top,
understand.
he really doesn't
I
like that,
understand. It's 100% a marketing thing that the marketing
Yeah.
team was like, "Come on, guys, we have a name, we have to use." But yeah, Glass Onion, great fucking movie. Honestly, it feels like he grew up watching the same kind of like Agatha Christie old-fashioned movies I did when I was young, because like the whole idea of like just keeping the one actor consistent between them and stuff. Like I love that stuff. Fantastic. Great cast. I don't think the interdynamics were as strong between the cast members in this one as the previous one, just because of the simple nature of the story around it. But
Yeah.
I think this one's somehow even more political than the last one. And I love how he keeps reinventing the genre and not letting it get stale. At the like, I think at the maybe like 40-minute mark or something, when the first quote unquote twist, which isn't really a twist, but like the first like weird rearranging of the story happens. Before
Yes.
that was happening, I was like, maybe this is gonna be like just a very straightforward mystery. I saw recently the See How They Run one, and that was a very straightforward
That was
mystery.
very
Yeah, that
straightforward,
was-
yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't
Classic.
horrible, but it wasn't good either, and I was a bit worried. And then I really liked what they did. I feel like again, like you don't get to connect with the characters as closely in this one with the actual like members of the murder suspect pool kind of thing, because of the fact that you're following the detective throughout rather than the one of the people involved being the point of view character. But at the same time, I absolutely loved like every like the fucking hell out of the political commentary in this one, like the way it portrays these different people. Like it honestly, I have a lot of gripes when filmmakers and writers try to depict how social media or like anything pseudo modern can work and stuff, and it generally feels like Ryan Johnson has been watching the same YouTube videos I've been watching recently or something, because the way he portrays that shit is just fucking fantastic. Really liked it, honestly. It was a very refreshing watch, and one that becomes even more fun and more funny on a second time. And it also felt cathartic. I really liked how they didn't just end it at like, oh, the mystery's revealed. I liked how it kept going, and it gives you that moment of catharsis at the end. And yeah, great metaphor. Love it. And yeah, just a really fucking good movie. You guys did a
Yeah.
whole episode talking about it. And
Yeah, we
there's
did a
your
we did a
review.
review of it like
Yeah,
months
you
ago
have-
when
yeah.
we got to see it early. Kelly, what were your quick thoughts on Glass Onion?
I mean, I really enjoyed it. I do
Yeah.
kind of agree, especially kind of like I've obviously heard a lot more people's opinions now since it's been out, and it's kind
yeah.
of like helped me kind of give like a refresh in my head. And I definitely
Mm.
do agree with Gonzalo that after kind of thinking about it, the characters, their interactions, I do prefer the first one because I
Oh,
preferred
100%.
the family conflict compared to like these kind of somewhat distant friends conflict, because the idea in the
Mm-hmm.
newest one is that they only really see each other in these big kind of extravagant getaways with the billionaire
Mhm.
friend. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they felt a wee bit more distant in this one, while obviously the family and the dynamic in the first one I think was much
Mhm.
stronger. But no,
Yeah.
I really do enjoy it, and I kind of can't wait to see where we're going. Has there been a number of films
They're
being
definitely doing
announced?
definitely doing another one.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a
Yeah,
third one, isn't there? Right, cool.
yeah,
Yeah, no,
definitely. I wonder what he'll
I'm
call it, but
excited for that.
Mm.
yeah, I
Um,
mean, Glass Onion. It was it made my top end of year list on the website. I had a blast with it. I said it was one of the, if not the funniest film this year on a comedy front. Purely on a comedy front,
oh,
it's
there were
genuinely
so
hilarious.
many good
Yeah.
little jokes in
So
there.
good. So
So
good.
funny.
Uh,
I think
I
Ryan
only
Johnson's just
noticed.
a.
Oh,
Mhm.
sorry. I only noticed on the second watch that like one of like the modern paintings, like the red and
Yeah.
blue one, was upside down, hanging in his thing, and like little shit
Yeah.
like that. It just
Yeah.
it's so good. It's so funny. It's really fantastic.
I just like the whole the commentary on like billionaires and how basically a bunch of them are just complete idiots.
Yeah,
Like that whole like tackling of like
yeah. The assumption that
Edward
just
Norton's character, and
because
this is very funny.
yeah, oh, he does a really good job carrying this role because he does have like he has to play that fucking complete dumbass
Hmm.
but without seeming like a complete dumbass for
Hmm.
the whole thing.
Yeah,
And it's just he nails it. He
yeah,
talks in interviews about how
yeah.
the people he based it on, and I think that's just hilarious.
And I also the main thing I took away from was that I just absolutely love Daniel Craig just getting really into this role now. He loves this character and he is
Yeah,
just
yeah,
dialing up to 11. He's having a
yeah.
blast. The accent's ridiculous. It's fantastic. I love it.
So
And even on a just on a sequel level, like
good.
although Ryan Johnson wants to see these, you could see these all on like an anthology perspective. You don't have to
Oh
see
yeah,
the last one to
100%.
watch this
Yeah.
one. That's kind of how he wants them to kind of be seen. He doesn't don't need to see the last one to get this one, so on and so forth. But
Hmm.
even if you were to like sort of look at it as a comparison, like the setting's so different. It's futuristic. It's not old fashioned. It's not an old house
Hmm.
like the last one. It's just a great, refreshing contrast to that last film.
Oh
And I
yeah.
said, I think it stands toe to toe with that first film. Absolutely.
And there's something about his character that I also think that could have been like he has a very like he's got a very vibrant personality, and it could have been played
Hmm.
as a joke for the whole thing. But
Yeah.
the way they make it so that like he uses his like apparent naivete and stuff to manipulate and control the situation around
Aye.
him
Yeah.
is it's quite genius.
It's
And
great.
Daniel Craig look he's having such a fucking good time
Yeah.
playing
He's
this
having a great
character.
time.
Plus, I feel like this is the kind of franchise where you could put these movies in the opposite order,
Hmm.
chronologically speaking, and it would also make sense. Like the idea of him like realizing, like being faced with like this whole like imbalance between the powerful and not powerful, and like all
Hmm.
that bullshit before the previous one making sense, and like why he's more lenient with this specific suspect
Hmm.
because of that. Like you could like it
Yeah.
feels like they're connected and disconnected in a way where like you could probably argue timeline wise for a lot of different ways, and the character still feels like they go like the one character that consistent still feels like he goes through like changes and arcs. And I think
Hmm.
that's fucking hard to do,
Yeah.
honestly, making
Absolutely.
a character have meaningful revelations and changes and stuff without like actually drawing out a timeline.
Hmm.
Like fuck me, that
Yeah.
is fantastic.
Yeah. So Glass Onion is Gonzalo's first pick.
Good movie, great
And
song.
Kyle, great film. Kyle, what are your honourable mentions before you get to your
oh,
second
right, my honorable mentions.
place?
Sorry, let me get my list up here. My
Yeah.
honorable mentions will be. I'm gonna. Yeah, I will. I'm gonna mention Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio.
Yep.
It would have been up there, but these other two films, I think, for me personally, just pushed.
Hmm.
Like Pinocchio's like my third, is my top three.
Okay,
It's in
your
my
third
top three.
choice. Got it.
It is my third choice, so it's just out there. I would love to talk about it, but I honestly want to talk about it more with Gonzalo because
Yeah,
I've
okay.
been like, I just want to talk about the animation with Gonzalo,
Yeah.
so I've just been kind of holding off. Others are the
Okay.
Batman.
I feel like we could do a Pinocchio episode if you
Yeah.
want. We could do a stop motion episode and have like
Exactly. I really
a
want to
big focus
discuss
on Pinocchio. Yeah.
the Pinocchio with you, but my kind of second
Mm.
runner-up is the Batman. I really,
man, yep.
I really enjoyed this film.
Mm-hmm.
I do have some gripes with the film where I do feel there was a studio kind of reliance on there being like a dramatic final act, inclusions of a certain character that I felt wasn't really necessary. But overall, I thought it was a really good noir crime film with superhero elements, because that's what this really is. And that's what I love about
absolutely.
this film.
Very
Very
much
much how Logan's a western, like on a road trip.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, so my first pick. Now, this is something that this is why I hate January, right? Because I saw it as I was reading your top 22 list, Lewis, right?
I said, please note at the top
Please
of my
note
list.
This is the 2022 calendar release for the UK. Because that's what I hate about this, because I'm like, I like to make my lists, right? And I'm like, it's 2022 film. I came out here 2023. Where do I allocate?
I just simplified. I was like, you know what? It's just boom. This is what came out in the UK in 2022.
So that's how I'm kind of doing it. So please don't yell at me, because this film technically released.
No, but Kyle, I'll also say I looked at the IMDb, and this film actually only released in like October, November, and plenty of other markets in 2022 as well. So there you go.
Well, I really hope we're talking about the same film, or you're a
no. I know what film you're. I know what film you're picking.
Yeah. Sorry, where was I? Puss in Boots, the latter. By the way, can I just say, I have 2 cats, so all their food is just covered in that faking marketing, by the way. It's ridiculous. I can't get away with it. So my first...
I didn't know they were marketing this.
They are, and I tell you,
people.
I know, I don't know why they're thinking. I'm like,
what is that strategy? What the fuck?
I really don't know. But anyway, my first pick I'm going to talk about is 2021/22's Mass. Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. I knew you were going to talk about this one. We all knew you were going to talk about this one.
Have I only mentioned this film like 5 times this entire run so far?
Maybe, probably.
In 2021. So Mass is a film directed by Fran Kranz. His directorial debut, and it stars Reed Briney, Ann Dow, Jason Isaac, and Martha Plimpton. And they play 4 grieving parents who have they come to meet in a church kind of leisure room or something to discuss a school shooting tragedy involving their sons. Okay, now this was a classic. Lewis was like, "Hey, you want to come see a film?" I was like, "Yeah, fuck it, sure, why not? I'll come in and see this film, right?" And I came in and sat down. And it probably will, I've gone into films pretty unprepared about the topic before. I did go into another round with a beer, which did feel very inappropriate after a while. So I didn't have, so I went to Mass not really having a clue. I was blown away, absolutely blown away by the film. I've always kind of thought in my head, I would love it if there's sometimes just a film where it's just people in a room chatting, because then that really puts everybody actually to their max, because the director has to work on making this film interesting.
Look interesting.
Stay interesting. Yeah. The actors really have to work with each other, because that's all they have. They don't have sets, they don't have CGI creatures, and then the script writers really have to push it to the brim, because they're just writing dialogue and nothing else.
The pacing.
And, oh my God, does this film do that? Okay, now I have to be careful, because I mean, it's been out for so long now. I'm trying to remember, but the idea of these 2 families communicating with each other because of the way. I'm trying to not spoil the film, but
I know, because there's a sort of revelation happens within the first 10-15 minutes, and you're like, oh right, that changes the whole dynamic.
Because I turned to Lewis and went, what the fuck? Because I had no idea this revelation was happening. But in the way these 2 families communicate, because the easiest way to say it is that they've both got slightly different ideas,
reasons,
within the perspectives within the tragedy that occurred to their children, and sometimes they will come up. They do it so well to because it's a very hard topic when you come to like school shootings, and they obviously have to. The writers and directors did feel like, right, the conversation of gun control would have to come out in this situation, but they handle it very well to not make it a key factor, and that they kind of travel back to the idea of these parents just trying to control their grief and figure out if there's anything they can do.
Because it's not a PSA about gun control. It's a story about
but then
people.
Exactly. Yeah. But then they would known to like. It would also, it would somewhat feel a bit stupid if I went the entire film with that kind of topic, and maybe it wasn't
without
even touched on
mentioning it.
tiny a bit. So I think they did a really good job in that sense. But they did a really great job in the sense that these parents are just slowly breaking down, and the ending's incredible. Where it's like, because it's not really. There's not really a conclusion in the sense that some parents
not
have,
in the sense, not
some of them might have found a wee bit of closure, but then some of them are just kind of like, yeah, okay, we're just gonna move on. And there's a lovely wee bit where it ends because like the conversation in the main room ends, but then there's about maybe like 10-15 minutes of them just like slowly like shuffling out the church.
Making
and it just really slows it down because it's like and I mean this is a just under 2 hour film where
something like that.
I would say there's 80 to 90 minutes of it is just pure conversation. You're just captivated for that 90 minutes. Like for me it just absolutely just went on, and it didn't feel like it was dragging. I felt everybody was just doing such an outstanding performance, and I just loved this film.
It's performance and writing levels.
Because it's not really, I'm not like, it's a weird one to say you love because it's a very hard hitting topic.
No,
For
but
certain
that's the
reasons,
thing. Like
I love this.
That's
film.
the thing. When I ever talk to people about this film, I'll ever recommend to people, I'd be like, I'd say this is the premise, right? And they'd be like. That sounds horrible. That sounds extremely dark, and why would I watch that? But I'm like, but it's not really. Like, it's so strange. Like, it's a film that, on its premise, seems that way, but also the way they delve into it is so fascinating, and from it, it's so enthralling just on a performance level. And also, but it's not really depressing. It's also a film, like I said, it's a lot about hope and a lot about, channeling your grief and, getting something out of it that isn't just misery.
I don't think... there was a point where nobody was crying in that theater.
Oh yeah,
because there are some hard-hitting scenes, and it's just honestly, it's such a beautiful film. And I was honestly really upset that it wasn't like, there wasn't Oscar nominations for some of those actors.
It's a genuine farce.
Wait, there
honestly,
wasn't.
There wasn't.
No, it didn't get a single. No, because like this was released in the US late 2021, and look, this is the problem with the Academy, which I'm sure we'll get onto when the Oscars episode comes out. But I feel like I watch more films a year than the Academy members do, right? Because
I feel like
they would watch indie films and stuff like that, and this is a very independent
but
film.
you're
this
also
is a guy's directorial debut, for Christ's
you're
sake.
also not paid to do it, which is hilarious because they're paid to do it and yet they don't.
If this was something that, I don't know, a studio paid a lot of money to put on the Academy's radar, this would they would have been like, oh, this would have definitely been a big Oscar contender because it's so powerful. And the way that, was it France, France, I think. The way he just he wrote and directed it, and it's his first film. It's unbelievable that he also makes the dialogue's a pure journey. Like you feel like you go on a journey with these people, and it's in one room, and he makes it so enthralling and so captivating, and everyone is just absolutely perfect in it.
That feels like a challenge film. That feels like I'm an established director, but I'm going to prove to everyone that I can do more. Not this is my first go. Let's give it a shot and do like the hardest fucking thing. Like that does not seem like a first film at all.
This is from a guy who had a role in The Cabin in the Woods way back when. He was like one of the kids in A Cabin in the Woods, and if you were to rewatch that film, I would not think this boy
which one
would go
is
on. I think he's like the nerdy one. And
Oh, he's the one that
Right.
plays the. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
which is fun.
The
It's
one
just
that's
isn't
on-
that
the
just
one that
mad
looks like
to think
Shaggy
about?
from Scooby Doo.
He
That is
does.
fucking
He does look
hilarious.
like Shaggy from Scooby Doo. To be fair.
That is fucking hilarious. Oh my god! Imagine like going from. Oh, man, I mean, like I get it. He's had experience, like working around fantastic directors and stuff. So he's probably learned a lot just from like watching people do amazing jobs. But holy fuck, dude, that is a flex as your
I know, isn't
directorial
it?
debut. Wow, wow. I'm jealous.
Yeah. I mean, on my thing, I put Mass at number 4
Hmm.
on my end of
Yeah,
year
yeah,
list
you
on
did.
the website. But honestly, it was a genuine struggle of where I was going to put that because it was just
Well, I mean,
it was
you
during
put it at
some-
number 4 of like the 22 best movies this year. Like, it's not like
Yeah.
you're. It's
Exactly.
not like you're really like you're not struggling to find good movies. Like
no, but
these are all fucking
that's
amazing.
definitely
Yeah,
it's definitely up there with some of the best. Absolutely.
yeah.
So yeah, I guess honorable mentions. I mean, I just want to rattle through that list that I put out, but
Yes.
a couple of them that I think I'm not just gonna say like in order because like Pinocchio is one of my obviously top 5. And Kyle mentioned that and so on and so forth. But the ones that I actually really stood out to me and like were very very big surprises and are like very unique and under the radar, I think. So after Yang, I really want to recommend, which was Kokonada's sophomore effort after Columbus, which I just loved.
Yeah.
And also I said this, I was like, this is the year of Colin Farrell. Like 3 of his films made my top 15 of the
Yes.
year. Like Banshees of Inisherin, The Batman, and After Yang. Like he's just a phenomenal actor. And like
yeah,
He
Batman.
did good this
he's
year.
just
He
done
did
so
fucking
well.
good.
But After
Yeah,
Yang's just
everyone
really-
forgets he's in Batman because fuck
Yeah.
me, that was
Thing.
great
Yeah.
makeup.
Genuinely, it's his year, and like After Yang, it's just
Yeah.
a really touching human film. It's the most peaceful film that came out this year. It's about sort of recontextualizing someone's life after they're gone and how like you've actually missed like you only got one side of that person. You're sort of understanding who that person truly was once they're gone. Beautiful, great freedom as well. A film I reviewed in this day was about the after the German occupation, after the end of the Second World War, how people who were homosexuals were still imprisoned even though after they're rescued by the Allies, and it's about one man's journey through decades of imprisonment. It's genuinely inspiring and beautiful stuff. The Quiet Girl, that's another one that was a really big surprise, kind of came out of nowhere, and it's just this really peaceful story about sort of like families, like a girl who's sort of taken out of her family and placed somewhere else, and it's about sort of forming bonds in the silence and things like that. It's genuinely really touching, and the Banshees of Inisherin, that's on Disney Plus right now. If you guys haven't seen that, that's a film that is honestly it's a dark comedy. At first, you think it's very funny and playful, but then soon takes a very dark turn, and it's actually a film that's about depression first and foremost, which was one thing when I saw it, I was like, wow, that like really took me by surprise, but that's what that film's about. But never mind all that, because it's time for my number 2 choice, and that is, of course, Top Gun Maverick. We're slating all the blockbusters that came out this year. A lot of them are very mediocre, a lot of them are crap. I mean, a film like Nope, I'm sure, deconstructed the idea of spectacle and its flaws and all sorts of force. But Top
Great
Gun
year
Maverick,
to come out, by the way. That was
Yeah.
fantastic timing.
Good timing.
Fuck me.
Top Gun Maverick is how you do spectacle. It's how you do action filmmaking, and it's one of the best blockbusters that have come out in years. What else is there more to say, really? I mean, we did a whole goddamn episode about it.
Yes.
I mean, if you
It
don't
only
know
has
the
one
plot,
flaw, and that's
Uh-huh.
you gotta take out the love story there. But apart from that, it's fucking flawless. I
It's not-
stand by
it's
that.
not the
was
love
cheesy,
story.
it was
It's
I
not the
cheesy.
love
stand
story.
by that.
It's those
I
fucking
stand by that.
close-up shots of Jennifer Connelly,
Oh,
which I don't
God.
understand. There was just
She's
so
gorgeous,
many.
I get it, but like, goddamn, take out. I love Jennifer Connelly. Take her character out of this movie, please.
No, don't
And
take
give us
her
a
out.
couple
Just
more
don't
st-
zoom in
take her
her
out.
face too much.
Yeah, just take her out. Don't have the sailing scene. It adds
Right,
fucking
calm the
nothing.
fuck down.
So
Just-
at the start, okay,
That
so
sailing
at the
scene's
start
the best bit of
2023,
CGI
that
you'll
was
ever
sexist. That's how we're gonna
Sorry,
start
yeah,
this year.
It's just-
That was sexist.
I
That's
just-
sort of the, like,
I'm
one of
missing-
the only female characters in the film.
I'm missing a couple more scenes with the actual like kids, with the actual characters, seeing them interact with each other, and I'm getting a ton of Jennifer Connelly, and I love her, but
They're
she
all
doesn't
older
add
than
shit to the
you.
movie. Well, the
Jennifer
fucking
Connelly, I think,
trainees.
is 49 years old.
Yeah, no, she's great. I'm not talking to her about kid. I'm saying the young pilots thing.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I want to
Okay,
see
sorry.
them interact
Once
a bit
again,
more,
they're
and
all
I want
older
to
than
see less
you.
Jennifer Connelly.
Fucking telling them as kids. Lewis, you just keep talking. Don't listen to this
Yes.
madman.
So I'm sure everyone listening has seen this film, but anyway, if you haven't
It's a good
seen
film.
this
It's a really
film,
fucking good film.
it's obviously set 36 years after the first Top Gun, and now Tom
Cruise hasn't
who
aged
of course
today.
plays Pete Maverick Mitchell, has to go back to Top Gun after he's been a little mischievous and testing another plane,
He's
and
been
is
a naughty
grounded and sent
boy.
to Top Gun to teach some of the best pilots on the earth, but he's got to teach them one last lesson to get them through this impossible.
I just
How
love that.
to be friends.
I just love the classic. Goddamn, you're the worst in the world, but we're sending you to Taka.
Yeah, I love that stuff too. And
so
like,
good.
obviously, in teaching these kids, you have Goose, who is of course not Goose. Sorry, you have Rooster, who's the son of Goose, who's
yes.
someone who was Maverick's buddy in the first film who died, and of course his son is one of the pilots he has to teach, and he's not over the fact that Maverick let his partner die, or what he believes that he let his partner die. But anyway,
Right.
so look.
Wait, isn't he more
it's-
mad at him because of the whole taking his papers out thing?
And that stuff, yes.
Okay, yeah.
I actually have a question.
He's
Lewis,
kind
for
of
you.
like a pseudo father figure.
What's the question?
You have seen this film in many different formats.
Yes.
What was your favorite? And there's a
IMAX.
correct.
IMAX is the only way to watch this
oh,
film.
no.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I did watch it
I
in
haven't-
4DX.
I haven't
We
seen
did
it.
see
Kyle.
it, and that
watched
was the
it
funnest
4DX.
experience I've ever had.
I don't think I
What?
could ever watch a film in 4DX again after that. because
What was
It was just no. Honestly, I don't understand how it
fuck
works because
happened?
you can't. It's really hard to actually hear the screen because they've got these
Yeah.
fucking air things blowing, so it's
That
like you can't
is-
really hear
that
what's
is
going
true.
on.
And the thing is,
Oh my
every
God.
time I miss
You
it,
know-
when something poked in the back, which was kind of sore.
You
Oh,
know,
yeah, that hurts.
I
There's stupid water
we
everywhere.
have-
It's just
we have one of those fucking like water dispenser things with a fan from when we went to Florida like fucking 10 years ago or something. And when we went to see Avatar: The Way of Water, my dad brought it and started like sprinkling people in front of us with the water every time a monster came out, and they all went, "Wow, it feels so real." So yeah,
Your dad-
kind of.
your dad's
They had a
Harass-
4DX experience
Your
for
dad's
Avatar.
just harassing people.
Yeah,
basically, is what you're saying.
I don't know how I'd feel about that if I was in the cinema.
They had a great experience. They thought the whale was splashing on them. They were like, "Wow, this feels so 3D."
But look, so why does Top Gun Maverick work? Why is this the second best film of the year to me? I mean, let's just obviously talk about the jet stuff. We've been over this a million times, but the way
Good
they're
jet.
able to film all the air choreography, is what I like to call it, all the air stuff is just genuinely phenomenal. It's just so engaging. The cameras in the cockpits, the way they actually got all these actors in the air and feeling that G-force, and it all looks so.
Yeah.
It's all like 99% real. It's just fantastic to see all these stunts. It just looks beautiful. It's so well shot. The sound is fantastic. The story, very simplistic. It's like I know like people are sort of comparing Avatar and this as like the two big blockbusters of the year, and they both have two very simple stories. But this one is far better. It's simple, but it's very effective because
Wait, Avatar 2
everyone
was
is so
a simple
engaged in-
story?
what?
Was Avatar 2 a simple story?
I mean, it's yeah, it's quite rudimentary.
Was it a simple? Oh, the first one. Oh, fuck me. Thank
No,
God.
I'm not talking
I
about the
thought
first-
you were
I'm talking
talking
about
about the
Avatar 2.
second. I was like,
Yeah,
is that what
it's
a
a simple story
story
about
looks
saving,
like?
protecting
Yeah,
your
yeah,
family.
yeah.
Anyway,
But that's not what the story is, though. It's a very complex, really fucking weird story that has nothing to do with anything. But yes,
Okay.
anyways, yes, sorry.
yeah, there's a lot of whales
I
and
missed
stuff going on
the
anyway.
Avatar.
Right.
I missed the Avatar episode. I still have grievances. I want to scream at someone. Uh,
But yes,
they
but
played
the
it in
story
24
also-
FPS, by the way, 24 FPS because they couldn't tackle the 48. So yeah,
Thank God.
cinema.
Anyway,
Yeah.
with this story, it utilizes the legacy sequel in the perfect way by actually being a story about reflecting on your past and dealing with, you know, your regrets and problems, and actually having to face your problems, like things that happened in the past, and coming to terms with it now. I mean, it's just so engaging. Tom Cruise, maybe like the last action star left now. Really, like genuinely wanting to push cinema on, you know, what you can do with
Oh, it's
the
so commendable.
blockbusters and
honestly.
action stuff to the next level. I just loved it. I just loved every goddamn minute of it. It's silly. It's cheesy as fucking hell. It's so cheesy.
We love cheese.
But
We love
but it managed to capture this old school feeling that I genuinely no film even set in the 80s or trying to do 80s stuff actually managed to do. Like it has a Lady Gaga goddamn ballad and a Hans Zimmer score. It's just
It's so good. So
how
good.
can you not
Yeah.
love it? Honestly, it's genuinely just pure cinema. You know, using the visuals and audios together and just creating something so enthralling and mesmerizing to watch. I just love Top Gun Maverick, and I've seen it so many times. I've seen it ridiculously many times.
I mean, I do
Yeah.
agree with most of what you're saying,
Mhm.
but that thing about Tom Cruise being the last main action star, I
know
think
he's I know
that's
he's
slightly
gonna bring up-
offensive, you
Right.
know.
because of
but-
The Rock. You're gonna say The Rock?
No, Dennis Quaid, but all
Oh,
right.
Dennis Quaid.
Jeez. He's trying to renovate the
Yeah.
animated adventure industry with Strange World, and
that's
you're
true.
going around
Yeah.
saying Tom Cruise. Just honestly disrespectful, guy.
But
I
look,
love how,
even
like,
throughout
this
all the
whole review-
there's so many films that have been complex and intellectually engaging, and so many films I've loved throughout this year. This is just a pure, viscerally entertaining film. That's just it's pure raw entertainment at its core, and it's how you
So
do
good.
blockbuster cinema. That's just so hard to replicate or even
Fucking fun.
It's
make.
kind
I
of
mean, this film
incredible.
took ages to make.
Yeah, it's kind of incredible how, like, even in like a smaller screen like at TV, it does manage to like still make you feel like you're on that jet, and you still feel that rumble of the engine, and that kind of like it's really good. It's really good. Also, sorry for we've like Kyle and I have been interrupting with nonsense for your entire thing. I think this is just revenge for your criticism in our last Christmas episode. You absolutely destroyed our picks, so we just wanted to come at you, and just like interrupt you with anything we could. But yeah,
Yeah,
actually
I mean,
really
I'm
like
sorry.
Top
I'm
Gun.
sorry I had to ruin Christmas for you guys, but
You destroyed Christmas.
I had to
How
put the record
Lewis stole
straight.
Christmas? Yeah.
I had to put the record straight for people out there. You know, I had to get my thoughts in there. But look, I mean, I'm absolutely. When we talk about our films, when we talk about our
Yeah.
2023 most anticipated films in a couple of weeks' time, you have no doubt Mission Impossible 7 is going to be on that list because I
I'm
cannot
so excited
wait
for that
for
one.
what Tom Cruise and co do next.
Have,
and look,
have you guys seen the stunts videos already? Like the
Oh,
the
yeah.
Yeah,
behind the
I've
scenes?
seen
Oh,
I've seen a
God.
couple.
Oh my god.
but
There's
look, let's
commitment and there's that. Holy shit.
let's carry on. And Goodfellow, what's your number one pick?
Okay, so my number one pick of the year. Actually, I think this is the only movie I was slightly hyped for this year, because I
Right.
was sent the trailer by my girlfriend when it first came out,
Yes.
and then I didn't manage to watch it because it wasn't coming out here for like fucking 3 months after it came out everywhere else. But it's
Spanish problems.
everything everywhere all at once. Yes. That movie was amazing. So okay, this is basically my type of movie. Like, this movie feels like it was made to appeal to me. It's so fucking weird in the best of ways. It's completely out there. It's wacky. It's nonsensical, and yet it captures your emotions in such a grounded way. It shows family dynamics in such an realistic way, and manages to get you right into these people's lives and their interaction with each other, while making jokes about interdimensional travel using butt plugs. Like, it's just, it's fucking brilliant. Like, it's fucking brilliant. This is my style of movie. You guys know I like weird shit. I've talked about how Speed Racer is one of my favorite movies a lot. But I really do like
Favorite movies? Hold
You're
the phone.
really, you're
You talked
really
about
pushing
really
my
good
attention.
movies.
You're really pushing my buttons with Battle today. Seriously.
for me.
If you mention Pacific Rim, I'm logging off. I'm not kidding.
God, no. Pacific Rim's just fun. It doesn't have a good emotional core at all. So no, the thing with this movie is, for me, like, the idea of taking you through a completely nonsensical, like, anything, like, just a journey of complete nonsense, and yet managing through that nonsense to convey a very earnest, very human emotion. That, for me, is the peak of, like, filmmaking. That's what I love the most. That's what I love to see, like, making me cry with the fucking rock with googly eyes turns around. Like, that scene brought me to tears. And having, like, bringing me into a completely new lexicon of like words and vocabulary, teaching me this weird new way of looking at things, and then engaging my emotions through that vocabulary they just created. Like that for me is the most impactful thing that filmmaking can do. And this movie fucking did it. It's just like it's one of my favorite movies in the last fucking 10 years or some shit. Like it's fantastic. I know it's a very personal thing as well. I know like I know it's generally a good movie. Like it is a great movie. I also understand that maybe other people won't engage with it the way I did. But for me personally, this is one of the best movies I've seen, not only this year, but like in a long time.
Yeah. I think I remember when I wrote my review for it, I remember the biggest thing that struck me about the film was just how well the directors, the Daniels,
Yes.
the way they have so much balance in this film, the way, like you're saying, the whole nonsense class, but they're making ridiculous imagery and nonsense, balancing out with this emotional, hefty story about basically a woman having to, save the relationship with her and her daughter, and also her husband, make sure her family doesn't fall apart.
Exactly.
Simultaneously having to save the multiverse and her own universe at the same time. But and the balance, the way they've juggled it all together was genuinely unbelievable to me. There's so much going on, and yet it's still so focused at the same time. It's so focused on that personal story and that human story.
That is the weird thing, because it feels like the movie assaults your senses and like your brain at all times, and yet you never lose focus on what truly is important.
I mean, I remember
what
it
the
is
movie
like,
is about. Yeah.
Like you're saying, like it's genuinely quite overwhelming as well. Like there is so much
100%.
happening that it does kind of exhaust you as well. But look, Michelle Yeoh is one of the best stars of the year. Like the way she's able to carry this whole film from comedy to action to serious dramatic weight.
The
She's
second
just an
last
absolute
action
brilliant
star.
The second last action star, yes, you're right, I should say. Genuinely one of the best leads of the entire year. Kei Huy Kwan as well, who came out of like a 20-year retirement for this film.
Shit.
Was just like as if he genuinely just has been acting for the past 20 years. Like he's genuinely one of the most wholesome and cute characters of the year. I loved him, and just brings, and even the scene where it's
the one that's like in the mood for love.
In the mood for love,
yeah. I know the one you mean. The one that like parodies that kind of thing. Yeah.
When he says obviously about the all the
he's
wants to
very
do is
versatile,
laundering taxes with you. He's just so cool. I've no doubt actually he's going to get an Oscar nomination. I've no doubt Michelle Yeoh's going to get an Oscar nomination for this.
I honestly hope so. Yeah. I am incredibly surprised that man has spent so many years without acting and came back doing this. Because again, like it's not an easy role. You have to be likable, but you also like he needed to be so versatile, because in every single iteration he was playing a slightly different character, and some of them, like, he just captivates you in such a way. Like again, like in just like that specific scene, he feels like a completely different person, and yet still has like the same identity. It's fantastic.
Kyle, any other thoughts you want to add about Everything Everywhere All at Once?
I mean, I love that film. It was really fun. I can't honestly. It's obviously such a confusing like mental film, and you're right, and it really is what I think like a multiverse of madness should be, because it really did feel like a multiverse of madness. Mad. Like, come on.
It was mad.
Jamie Lee Curtis, I absolutely loved her. I thought
she was so fun in this. Oh god, she was so funny.
She was actually like having fun in that role, which is
like the opposite of the Halloween one.
I was about to say you could really compare, like you can actually see it in actors when they're actually enjoying a role. I really just enjoyed it. It was a great film.
It's really great when a film comes along. I mean, genuinely, throughout the last year, there only has been 2 films that I feel like collectively the world has sort of come together and been like, yeah, I loved that, and that was Top Gun, and that was Everything Everywhere All at Once. Where just everyone has just been like, yeah, like everyone, all my friends, everyone I saw seen it has always just been like, yeah, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, just like loving this thing, and just like
it's surprising to me in a very positive way, honestly. Like I was not expecting people to like this movie.
People having genuinely really visceral emotional reactions to it. So many people finding it really, tearful and just like it's just one of those films that, everyone, except, I should say, my parents, they sat down and watched it like the other month, and they went, that was the biggest load of shit we've ever seen. My mum...
I suspect my mom's gonna hate it.
Yeah.
I suspect my mom's
Oh my
not gonna
God.
like how much it flashes and how many colors and like it just goes too quick and stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a
But yeah,
genuine
no,
reason
honestly.
why this is actually going into Oscar season, genuinely going to be a serious contender for Best Picture.
Yeah, I fucking
as
hope
well
so.
as a bunch of stuff. I mean, imagine that after all our complaints about the Oscars, Goodfellas, imagine if they give that Best Picture, you'd be like, well,
Well,
guess I can't hate them now.
honestly, it wins the Gonzalo Award for this year for sure. Like, it might not be an Oscar, but best
It means a
movie
lot
in my
more.
eyes.
It means a lot
Means
more
so
to
much more.
Daniels and Co.
So much more.
It does.
I'm sure it does. They know me. We are personal, close friends.
Yes. So yes. So
Fucking
everything,
wish.
everywhere, all at once is Gonzalo's
Great
number
film.
one pick.
Great
Kyle,
film.
on
Kyle,
to you now. What's
Lois.
I'm gonna go for Nope. I have to say, I'm gonna go
Nope.
for Nope.
wonderful?
Nope.
I ended up rewatching this film actually just
Mm-hmm.
around the New Year's. I was showing my dad it, and he was just like, "What the fuck was that?" Like he really enjoyed
Yeah.
it, and his description
Yeah.
was, "That was so weird." Like,
Yeah,
'cause-
that's good though. That's fucking good.
I know, because I was so obviously Nope is the third film from director Jordan Peele after Get Out and Us, and I really think this is his best one so far.
Yeah.
And this basically follows two siblings. It follows OJ and M. Haywood, who are siblings of Otis Haywood, who was the proprietor and owner of Haywood's Hollywood Horses. And they believe that they are, well, it's said that they are the great grand children of the original jockey from the original plate 626 of the famous film of the jockey going around. And basically what happens in this is that stuff starts happening and horses start going missing. And it's basically discovers later on that there is something in the sky. And really, what I love about this film, especially rewatching it, is that unlike, because I was trying to explain it to my dad, I was like, this is like, imagine like a sci-fi Jaws, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
that's because
yeah.
it kind of is. It's kind of, it's like a stalker
Has a
kind
big
of thing.
Spielberg quality to it, absolutely.
Yeah,
But then, as I was
100%.
like rewatching, I was like, I don't know why this escaped me the first time. I was like, they're not trying to kill it. They're just trying to get
Yeah.
proof because they want to make money.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
There's that.
I completely just I forgot about that. Like after
It's amazing.
I first saw
Well,
it in
there's
cinemas
two
when it came
dynamics. I
out.
remember when we did. If you want, guys, honestly, if you want the best analysis in the world, listen to our Nope review. We dig deep into that
really
episode about that. But for me, the biggest thing that
Honestly,
struck
just
me,
go on YouTube and Google "no video essay." You're gonna find like fucking 30
so
or
many.
40.
It's generally one of those films that is. No other film this year really has actually come across with so many different interpretations of how this film has been seen and viewed. But the thing for me, like, it's interesting you say that because I think that's the case for Emerald, but for OJ, I thought it was a film about grief actually, and I thought it was him
OJ was trying to be. I don't know for OJ if he was like,
he's just
if I
trying to
get this
find
information,
the answer as
to
to
his
what
dad's
killed
death.
his father.
Yeah.
Like that's all
Yeah.
he really cares
Yeah.
about.
That is
That's
true.
why he
And
wants
it-
the show.
I mean, there's so many
and
little
that's
like.
kind of the amazing thing about his fucking performance, because like
He's really good
he
at
is
it.
so good at like saying so much and not saying anything at
Yeah.
all. Like the restraint on his, especially for such a fucking charismatic actor, like just oh my god.
I
Sorry,
mean,
I just
I love
need
the
to-
pair. I love the pair.
They're
You've got
such
everything.
good-
There's so
such
many
good
things. 'Cause
leads.
obviously, there's like the weekend of words where it's like suggested that this is a whole cover up. Then like people actually know what's happening. I love the idea. Obviously, one of the big themes about wild animals can't be tamed because of the whole
Yeah.
Ricky Park when they did what was that?
Gordy.
Gordy.
the
was
Gordy
it, was
show,
it,
yeah.
what was it? I was about to say like Times of a Gordy or something. On the show and like the traumatizing events and him believing that he has this connection with these wild animals because that's why he survived Gordy's attack.
Yeah.
And and I mean the creature design as a whole, because like I said, this is a Jaws film where it's kind of like hinted, especially by Ricky Drupe Park, Stephen Yeun's character, that he believes that it is actually like little Martian men in a UFO flying around. Yeah. Okay, well, it's actually a creature in itself, which I love that concept.
It's so good.
much.
It's so good.
And the way
it's also such an unexpected twist. Like, holy fuck!
Yeah,
you're going in thinking this is a fucking UFO, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just the way the music works, because obviously it doesn't create a sound. It's just so quiet. And it's the idea, it's in the clouds, and it's just when they're walking out and you're just like, oh, it's there. It really does give you that, it gives you that sense of when you're watching Jaws and there's those scenes where they're just looking at the water and you know it's there, but you can't see it. It's very
exactly.
the same.
And
I mean, that final scene where it unveils into its true form, it's
so beautiful.
Angel-like, jellyfishal state, which is honestly so beautiful to look at, that I'm like, gorgeous. It's so understandable that like that's how it lures its prey in, because I can't take my eyes off it. It's genuinely so pretty that I would be dead.
Exactly.
And
imagine seeing that like unfold in front of you, like you'd be paralyzed. Honestly,
I mean, I think Jordan Peele did such a good job of cramming so many different themes and kind of ideas into this one film. I mean, the characters. I mean, Keke Palmer, give her. I mean, I love her now. She's just amazing.
Give her a fucking Oscar.
Honestly,
so good.
Just a brilliant pairing. Honestly, they just radiate star quality. They're so
and they
fun to
bounce
watch.
off each other
the
so
contrast
fucking
is
well.
great.
Oh.
They really do, because they're such different siblings, but then they are again siblings. Well, they'll have those moments. There's that one great scene where that really interesting cinematographer guy, Michael Wincott's character, Holst, I can't remember his name, but he's like, oh yeah, I've got this like IMAX camera I made and it's on a rank. And she turns around, I knew he was coming, and they do that amazing like high five where it's like do. I'm just like the energy they produced there was so good. And
you can feel that connection and like their whole history.
You genuinely
as well.
do.
Like, it's so good. It's because like there is a lot in the writing and the actual filmmaking of it. Like the idea of like the whole competitive nature with the dad like showing him the ropes and excluding her and all that stuff. But like it's not just in the writing; it's in the way they perform that like family, like that familiarity, like that closeness. Even though they're still like, you can still see that they're obviously clashing. They haven't been like talking for a while and stuff, but they still click in those moments. And it just feels so fucking good when it does. It's like, damn, these people are siblings. Like you get it, you know? It's so good. It's so good.
I love
for that reason. I just
but like you, Kyle, I mean,
so much.
Like you, because I remember watching it the first time in cinema. I was like, and I genuinely was like, wow, that's fantastic. I loved it. And then I saw it again in the cinema like the following week, and I remember just being like, nah, this is something special. This really was. I remember when we reviewed it, and you guys were like saying it's his best film.
Because I gave it like a 9
I was like,
originally.
yeah.
I was like, I didn't think there was anything wrong with it, but I was like, I need to watch again to give it that 10. And it's definitely a 10 now, 100%.
And it's just, it was really special. I just loved, like, it's just a whole weird genre mix of stuff. You got the Spielberg
It's way more
influences.
meta than it feels like in the first place. Like it's so self-referential and it like talks about like the act of capturing images and like filmmaking and like being watched and watching the relationship between the audience and the performers. Like it has so much fucking shit in it. Like you could write like 7 or 8 theses just based on this film.
And like I said about Top Gun, how that film felt really old school and didn't feel modern in a good way. This is the same. It felt like an old school blockbuster that was original, that was unique, that had this Spielberg quality that's really hard to sort of define, with that John Williams-esque sort of style, with these weird genre mixes and influences. It felt like a unique and original cool blockbuster, and I loved it.
Did you see how they filmed that very claustrophobic scene?
No, I didn't. How did they
I don't know how this movie came across. I think I was just I ended up kind of googling some stuff.
That terrified
And
me, by the way. Like,
yeah,
that was fucking
but they
horrifying.
basically made this like 10, 20 meter long conveyor belt where these actors would genuinely be like
Just
going
lying
through
down.
where it's like
The
the
bag,
camera
yeah.
and Jordan Peele's at the side, and Jordan Peele's going, "Fuck, this is really creepy. I love it. I love it." And then like he was just filming people, and he goes like, "Yeah, suffocate more. Go on, do it."
Oh, God,
And it's just this
that is
weird like
amazing.
escalator type
So they're just
thing.
laying down kind of thing.
With
that is
they're
fucking
laying
amazing.
down because he wanted to give it the idea that they weren't like he genuinely wanted to make it look like they were moving through it. So it's
Yeah,
like
exactly.
this
Like
weird
it's a
conveyor
stomach
belt.
kind of thing. Yeah.
And it's so it looks so bizarre. It's just this like
See,
windpipe, half a windpipe along this like 10-meter
need to
thing,
see
and
this.
it's just a bunch of
oh,
cameramen
God, I
going,
need to see this.
"Yeah, scream for your life, do it."
Oh,
Well, no,
God, I need to see
that
this.
is an excellent
That
choice.
this is like the kind of like shit in filmmaking that I love. It reminds me of like a thing that JJ did on the first Star Trek movie that he did, where like for the skydiving scene, he literally just had them in a parking lot, like standing on top of a mirror while he like shook a different mirror to create lens flares, and he just like shot them from above, and they were just screaming and just standing there looking up for the whole thing, and it looks perfect. Like
It's
it looks
a
straight out
it's a
of the
great
thing.
scene.
It's like those little things where I'm like, fuck, this is great. I love this business.
Well, okay, so the final pick here on my number one film of 2022, one that was also kind of a big surprise. I saw the trailer for this. I was like, that looks quite interesting. I'll go catch that. And it's not a film that has multiversal stuff or weird flying saucers or amazing jet choreography. None of that. It's a little independent film, After Sun, directed and also a directorial debut. Like we're talking about Mass, Charlotte Wells's first feature-length film. And
Sponsored
the plot
by
level,
the brand After Sun.
yes, sponsored by Genuine After Sun. No,
Yes.
and the plot, of course, seems very simple. It's set in like the mid-90s, and you have it stars Paul Mescal and Frankie Corio. I think that's how you pronounce her name. I mean, I think this is her first ever role. Who played Callum and Sophie. And they go on holiday in the mid-90s to Turkey, and that's when you kind of get going. It's sort of the biggest thing that kind of made surprise me After Sun is actually it kind of is a mystery film. The film opens with these weird flashes in this like in a dark club of Callum, and you're like, okay, this is not what I was expecting, and then you have these like long shots of like him doing weird meditation stuff, and then also there's this whole thing about duality in the film where like basically two characters are put in different locations and the camera's placed to sort of show two different realities. And as the film goes on, you're picking up on just like something's not right. There's this whole like weird mystery kind of going on, even though it's just like a father and her daughter on holiday. And then what I will say is that although the chemistry between Frankie Corio and Paul Mescal is so naturalistic and perfect, like they seem like father and daughter, it's so real, and the whole film seems so natural, it looks like you're looking at real life. There then comes, like, within the last 20 minutes to half an hour, I'd say, there is like a sort of a few revelations actually that happen that you don't realise what you've actually been watching the whole time. And I will say this, don't actually look at the plot on IMDb, because I'll say
It spoils.
there's
it.
actually kind of a spoiler in there in the actual plot description, because it's not something I realised until like a fair way into the film of what's you're actually watching here.
Sorry, can I ask a question? Because I'm literally going to see this on Friday. Should I take my headphones off for this bit, or are you going to be able to go?
No, I'm not going to spoil it. I won't spoil it. I'm just saying don't look at the plot synopsis and IMDb.
No, it's just the way you were saying that. I was like, wait a second, should I take my headphones off?
Yeah. No, with Lewis, you're pretty safe with spoilers normally.
Yeah, it's true. But then you get the last final act of the film, and then it recontextualizes the film that, like we're talking about, like a whodunit, like Glass Onion or something like that, but in a very, very different way. In a very different way, like you end up, it becomes this whole revelation of what you've actually been watching, and then it actually takes you so off guard and like puts a lump in your throat. You're like, oh my god, that's what this whole thing has been. And it's just the way Wells has crafted it. I can't believe this is her first film. the way she's just subtly put in all these little bits and pieces across the entire film and told this father and daughter story as well, and there's this whole idea, like I said, of duality and like this whole like dreamlike quality to it. It's just genuinely astonishing this is our first film, because
We're getting
it's
such
like
good fucking directorial debuts.
yeah,
honestly.
absolutely. Because it feels like
holy
this
shit.
is a mature filmmaker. Someone who's been making films for years, has made
But it's
something
her first
this-
directorial debut. Wow.
Yeah, this nuanced and this sort of just so well put together. Like it's genuinely astonishing. And look, it absolutely left me just speechless by the time it was done. I was genuinely couldn't leave my cinema seat. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe that's what this whole thing has been. And the way the film ends is really emotionally weighty, and what you realise the film's about is just it's a shame I can't really delve too much into it here, but I don't want to spoil it for anyone. But look, it is on Mubi, January
Friday,
6th.
yeah.
Okay,
Friday.
nice.
It's available everywhere. And look, I have no doubt this is an indie film. It's not going to be looked at in Oscars or anything like that. I don't expect it to be there. But look, Frankie Corio is genuinely like an amazing revelation. I think she's like 13 years old and is just like a genuine natural performer. Paul Mescal is the best actor of 2022, like no question. I'm sorry, even though I said it's the year of Colin Farrell, you made 3 fantastic films. Paul Mescal, one performance is just genuinely just so natural and so pitch perfect in this. Like, it's genuinely just astonishing, and it's just one that really just completely took me off guard. And yeah, it's one that I'll really remember this film for a long time because of just how moving it was and how just perfectly well made. I cannot wait to see what Charlotte Wells does next. I mean, if that's the first film you're ever going to release, like, how are you going to top that?
Wow.
No pressure.
Let's keep an eye on her. Holy shit.
But yeah, I mean, since you guys haven't seen it, and it's genuinely like it's a film you have to kind of tiptoe around when talking about it, because there's like you don't want to spoil here. But yeah, that was kind of a brief end to it, but that is my number one pick for 2022. And look, that'll also be the end of the show. Look, we had a bunch of great suggestions here. We had, Aftersun, Top Gun Maverick, Everything Ever All at Once, Nope, what else do you say? Glass Onion and Mass, of course. How could I forget Mass? I was just running through them all. Those were all our picks here. If you want 20 other picks from me, you can visit unwantedopinion.net. There's a full top 22 of 2022. You can go check out there, from all different genres and all different weird eclectic choices that you might like. But look, they're all there on unwantedopinion.net. And on next week's show, since we've done the best of the year, we're of course going to do the worst of. And I know Kyle is absolutely looking forward to that.
I don't know if I actually look forward to this in some way. I get to shit on movies. Then I have to think about the movies I have to shit on, and that makes me sad.
Yes, you have to actually try and remember them. I know it's hard.
That's okay.
Bring up past trauma is never easy. But
the important thing here, are we gonna dedicate another hour to shitting on the latest Halloween movie, or did the Halloween episodes already suffice?
It's gonna be the longest episode yet, no doubt.
It's gonna be
so of course be
or the shortest, because we don't want to talk about the films.
That's true. It's going to be 10 minutes long. I'm like, it's this,
and that's
and
the list.
I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Maybe we could do like 10 movies each, just so we can only mention them, and that's the episode. There you go. That's a list of 30.
Yes, thank you very much, Gonzalo, for joining me.
Oh, it's been a pleasure.
And thank you, Kyle.
You're welcome.
And as usual, guys, like and follow the podcast on Spotify, subscribe to us on YouTube, recommend the podcast to other people. We want to move up from the top 25% to the top 20% this year when we get our Spotify wrap. We want to be followed by more people, so that's our
2023 goals. Woo!
Exactly, 2023 New Year's resolutions. And yes, thank you very much for listening. And look, we just gave our opinions on the best films of 2022, but those were our unwanted opinions. Thank you very much.